Hello everyone and welcome to episode 2 of Badger Minecraft. As you can see, this is a much smaller mine. This is an entirely different game, as a matter of fact. I am not playing on my server. Anyway, so ridiculous thing happened today. Students found my Minecraft videos, well, one Minecraft video that I have. They also found that video that I have in which I discuss On the Road by Jack Kerouac that I did for a project for an assignment during my master's. Anyway, let's talk for a moment about what the crap is even happening here and why it's happening, and you know, what any of it is supposed to be. First of all, this is my take on, the internet, what it's for, and how I use it. In the same way that I have an Instagram where I take blurry pictures, attach non sequitur captions to them, and cast them out into the void. Well, students found that too, and they can do what they want with it. But I don't comment on anyone's comments. I don't respond to anything. I don't follow anyone on Instagram, and I never will. Mainly because that's not what it's for. I cast it out into the void, expecting nothing in return. And honestly, I think that is the right way to go about it. I have a number of blogs that I've started over the years, and all of them have been abandoned, as all blogs should be. Abandoned by myself and anyone else who might have ever possibly considered looking at them. Which you shouldn't. You definitely shouldn't. Anyway, but I take great solace in casting my voice into the void. We all have the opportunity to stare into the abyss and let the abyss stare back into the depths of our souls to find out who we really are and what we're really made of. And if you sully that experience by expecting to get likes and subscribes and expecting people to give a crap about the content that you've created, well, you are robbing yourself of pure expression. And I intend to express myself purely without the burden of giving a crap about followers or sponsors or likes or subscribers or anything else for that matter. Because why do it if you're not doing it for yourself? Anyway, that is how I approach all of these things. Now, you can say, and I think correctly so, that simply by having people follow what is happening here, that the outcome has been changed, that I am now behaving in a manner that I would not have behaved if I were not aware of the fact that someone might actually see this. The first video was created in hopes that no one would see it. I know that I, at times was, pretending like I had an audience. I was mainly doing that because my wife was sitting right next to me and she thought that what I was doing was funny, and frankly that's a good thing. Make your significant other smile and you've done a good job for the day. Anyone else smiles, well, that's their own business. Anyway, so I'll just continue to do what I do, cast things out into the world and not really give a crap if anything comes back. People have commented on the other video. I will not engage in commenting on the comments or liking or anything of the sort. This is not for engagement. This is not for anyone to have any sort of an inlet into my little world. Anyway, we'll see what becomes of it. You know, obviously this is bound to be abandoned before too long. Because first of all, I can't imagine that I will keep up the interest in doing this. You know, I have a fairly short attention span. Thank you, Internet, for that. And there are better ways for me to spend my time. As a matter of fact, I should be reading a book right now. I'm supposed to be reading Kim by Rudyard Kipling. Oh, there that goes. Anyway, I'm supposed to be reading Kim because it is, wow, this is quite possibly the worst job look at that redstone. What are you even doing? Like, you're not necessary. Who even, what? Anyway, but yeah, Kim by Rudyard Kipling, which, you know, Kipling, interesting. I have a hard time reading it now, given what I know about imperialism, given what I know about... Ooh, I can actually... Hold up. I can combine swords that... Oh, that's a stone sword. Never mind. It's hard to tell. This screen is much smaller. This is not my home computer. My home computer has... Wait a minute. Do I have... Oh, that's gold ore. See, I can't even tell the difference between gold and iron at this resolution. So... Anyway, and I'm still working with charcoal here because this mine has not produced an awful lot of coal, which is, you know, somewhat disappointing. It's dark out there, might as well go to bed. I don't even remember what this world looks like, if I'm being perfectly honest. Anyway, let's go outside and probably die right away. Anyway, yeah, I created this one just to pass the time. Just to... Oh, hello. I don't remember any of this. This does not look at all familiar. Oh, alright. Well, I can't say that I didn't do this, but, because nobody else has ever played in this world. But I can say that it's ridiculous and stupid. Anyway... But the fact of the matter is that, yeah, this is as dumb a Minecraft video as exists in the world. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I myself do not watch Minecraft playthroughs. Don't have the time, don't have the interest. So why am I making them? Not to be watched, I can assure you of that. That is... farthest thing from my mind, if you can believe it. I think the very idea, and it's quite prevalent these days, the very idea that anyone can be or ought to be famous is absurd. But that's just me. That's just how I feel about things. Anyway, what do I have here? A lot of grainstone, a lot of... Have I started building any ridiculous monoliths outside? I'm guessing I didn't see any ridiculous monoliths. Anyway, but yeah, you know, it may have been the Pew Research Forum, it may have been some other research institution. Oh, hello, Freeper. And the fact of the matter is that they had been tracking what you know, school children, elementary age school children, wanted to be when they grow up. And, you know, my generation, which is, you know, not that long ago, I'm not that old, but first of all, it says a lot that most of the boys wanted to be firefighters and most of the girls wanted to be nurses. Conspicuously, not doctors, but nurses. Anyway, it really tells you something about... Oh, hello, Undead White. Anyway, it really tells you something about the culture in which I grew up, that it was that stratified along gender lines. Anyway, But an interesting shift happened not that long ago, certainly recent enough for it to be true of my high school students. And that shift is this: instead of having an occupation in mind that children would like to be when they grow up, universally, boys and girls now, when asked the very simple question, what do you want to be when you grow up, they all have the same answer. And that answer is famous. What would you like to be? I would like to be famous. Well, famous for what? Doesn't matter. Famous for anything, really. That is the nature of the time in which we live. Fame is fame. And quite frankly, I think that there is a great problem with that. Because, first of all, fame in its very nature... Oh, let's go throw this sword into lava. What else can I throw into lava? There's wheat seeds. I can throw them into lava. Anyway, so the very nature of fame, let's imagine that you are a person who wanted to become famous. What would you have to do? Well, you would have to get a bunch of people who do not know you personally to know who you are and to care about what you do and what you have to say, what you put out into the world. And in order to do that, you have to distinguish yourself in some way. Well, the number of ways in which one can distinguish themselves in this day and age, they are finite. There is an upward bound, a limit to the number of things that you could do in order to achieve some sense of fame or notoriety. And that is most certainly true. So there's a limit to the number of things that you could do to become famous, but equally there is a limit to how famous you could potentially get. Because you have to consider there will never be another Beatles. The Beatles were a singular phenomenon that cannot be replicated now that we are well after the death of monoculture, meaning that our culture is very fragmented and everyone can go and find their little niche in which they and their people only belong. And in that scenario, you couldn't possibly have another Beatles because, well, in order to have the Beatles, everyone has to care about them. So the nature of fame has shifted slightly because you can be a famous YouTuber, honest to God. You can be a woman of large chest and wear low-cut tops and simply watch other people's YouTube videos and comment on them. And that can be your entire claim to fame. And you can make a lot of money doing that, provided that your chest area is adequately large and provided that you're, ooh, I don't know that I'm being sexy right now is semi-convincing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyway, that is an entire genre of things that, it was not so very long ago that you couldn't just be a large-chested woman in a crop top who comments on things that other people do and be famous for it. But now is the time when you actually can. But, it's famous of a certain type. It's fame of a limited variety because I certainly cannot think of the names of any of these people. My children certainly can, because how do I know it's large-chested women wearing low-cut tops and commenting on other people's videos? Well, because I've seen what my children watch on YouTube, and quite frankly, I make fun of them for it, as I should. I'm one of those good fathers. Anyway, So the nature of fame has shifted slightly, but you figure, okay, how many people have to know who this person is in order for them to be famous? Well, I think a good threshold is about 500,000 people, 500,000 people. Well, if we take every single person on the planet, there are 7 billion of us and counting, well, closer to 7.5 billion of us on the planet. In order for fame to work, it can only be 1 out of every 500,000 or so people that gets the opportunity to be famous. And that is assuming that you become, marginally like YouTuber famous, Twitch streamer famous, TikTok famous, or some other equally shallow type of fame. Sorry that I don't consider those to be more impressive. To me, person that I think deserves fame is someone who's done something remarkable that cannot be done by your average human being. And that is what fame is to me. The famous people that I care about, well, I can't say that there are very many of them, but certainly Rivers Cuomo, major impact on my life. Ooh, diamonds. Anyway, he's quite famous to me. I don't know if he's famous to anyone else, and honestly, I don't care. I know that enough people know who he is that he can still sell records in a time when nobody is buying records. Coincidentally, their new album that drops tomorrow actually. That should be shipping to my house. I pre-ordered it because of an agreement between the missus and I that anytime Weezer drops a new album, I am allowed to buy it right away. No questions asked. No worries about the budget. See, we're both school teachers, so, it's not like we're living high on the hog, but we are living a simple, relatively uncomplicated, yet very happy life. And I think, honestly, that is the right way to be. We have no delusions of grandeur, no delusions that what we have to say or what we have to do with anything is particularly important or interesting, that it would be to anyone else. Don't think that anyone ought to care what we have to say about anything. You probably shouldn't. Probably shouldn't. Ooh, iron. Yeah, leaving that in. No edits. Anyway, people, the fact of the matter is there just aren't enough people in the world to care about all the other people in the world in a famous type way. If I were to meet Rivers Cuomo, I would be beside myself. I would be very excited. I know you can hear it in my voice. Woohoo. Rivers Cuomo. Oh my God. I'm like a giddy little schoolgirl. Rivers Cuomo, I'm very excited to meet you. I actually lost out on an opportunity to meet him. Girl I went to the concert with got to meet him, but that's because, she was cute and female. And if you're looking to get backstage at a concert, being cute and female is never going to hurt your case. It can only help. Anyway, wait, why did I come here? Obviously I have more pickaxes. Anyway, so that night at the Cricket Amphitheater, I did not, in fact, get to meet Rivers Cuomo, and that's probably fine. I'll probably never meet him, and honestly, I hope he has a happy life. He seems like a reasonably good person, and good for him. He makes excellent music, and I think, if anything, is worthy of making you famous, being the kind of person who can create music that expresses the emotions of other people in ways that they cannot adequately express themselves in words alone. I think that's a marvelous thing, and I think if you're any good at that, well, then you ought to be famous. Oh, that's right, I was going to get a shovel so I could dig out all that dirt. Anyway, so best of luck to Rivers Cuomo. I do not think that I possess any qualities that make me in any way, shape, or form like him, and as a result, I don't think that anyone should care what I have to say about, well, much of anything, unless you're one of my students, in which case, listen up. I mean, not to this video, I mean in class. You can stop watching this video. Did you even make it this far? What's wrong with you? I take great solace in the fact that the attention spans of students have been dwindling year by year, day by day, and so the likelihood that any of them are still watching this is very small. Anyway, they were making fun of me for not having a shovel. Well, I shovel well. I shovel very well. Shoveled better than any man you've ever known. But it does not make me a superhero. If you know what that comes from, then you and I can be friends. Because when the missus and I were in college together, that movie was the test. Anybody who could watch that movie and enjoy it and understand why it is a masterpiece, a classic, well, if you get it, if you understand why it is so delightfully good, then you can be our friend. If you don't understand it, if you sit there and you say, why is this a thing that's being forced on me right now? Well, I'm sorry, but you and I are not meant to be friends. It's okay. Plenty of people in this world. You can't be friends with all of them. It doesn't mean that we're destined to be mortal enemies, although certainly there are people out there who are destined to be my mortal enemies, and I feel that those sorts of people would not enjoy that movie. I could be wrong. I'm willing to be wrong. Being wrong is, it affords you great freedom when you are willing to be wrong and to change your mind based on available evidence. One of the great works of literature is a book with the most boring name I could even imagine. The book is Winesburg, Ohio by Sherwood Anderson. And I would connect the dots here for you and tell you why I'm bringing up Sherwood Anderson's great work while I'm in the middle of this mine. Well, I'll tell you. He created something very wonderful and unique that presents a philosophy of the world which I believe is upheld, at least by my views, my worldview in general, the lens through which I view the world. So, if you want to understand me a little bit better, read Winesburg, Ohio by Sherwood Anderson. A fantastic book that sounds like it will be boring, but it's actually quite poignant. A number of important ideas come out of that book. why my mines produce so much redstone when I have so very little use for it. I suppose I gain experience points, and that over time those experience points will allow me to enchant things when I have the ability to enchant, that is. Well, we'll see if I ever get there. I may abandon this whole thing before then, and if I do, it's for the best. Anyway, there was a line of thought that I wanted to complete, but like a wisp of smoke, it has vanished, dissolved, has joined the surrounding ether, and is now no longer. So, what do I have to say about it? Well, nothing. Don't be afraid of silence. Learn to sit in your own thoughts. Ponder your life. Really take stock of what matters. We spend too much time doing things that don't matter. Making this video hardly matters at all. Why am I doing it? Well, it makes me happy. I think of Joe Pera when I do this. I think Joe Pera is a beautiful man. I think what he has created is incredibly beautiful. He celebrates the common, the ordinary, the average, the everyday, in a way that no one since Walt Whitman has ever done. And he does it with the kind of approach that only those who really, really want to know are ever going to know. There comes a time in life when you no longer want to be blasted in the face with bright flashing colors and loud music, and you just want to hear intelligent people speak in reasonable tones. Hey NPR, I'm looking at you and basically everything you do. Anyway, we try to find those things once we reach a certain age because, well, it becomes more important to think about the big ideas in life than it does to, keep some sort of an idea that you are cool, or that the things you are doing are cool, or that anything that you are doing can be viewed by other people as cool. Reach a certain point where cool is a burden and you're glad to be rid of it. I was cool from 2004 to 2008, and leaving it behind is one of the best things I've ever done. It's a constant burden, constantly having to worry and wonder what people will say or think about the things you think and say. Well, I'm a free man now. I can say and think whatever I want, and indeed I am. Anyway, as soon as I finish this line, I think I'm going to close this up. Decent amount of iron. What if I keep doing this for no reason? Just falling off. I know the way that I play Minecraft drives a lot of people crazy because I'm not optimizing, I'm not doing things in the most efficient ways, I'm not getting to the end and slaying the Ender Dragon and getting it done and over with as quickly as possible. Well, I'm okay with not getting it over and done with as quickly as possible. It's about the journey. It's about what we encounter along the way. It's about how we feel as we roll along. That's what matters. Not much else does. Suppose this Minecraft video would make a good thing to fall asleep to. But I would recommend not watching it at all. If you've made it this far, you're a strange person. Don't worry, I'm a strange person too. You've seen me play Minecraft and, well, I think the evidence speaks for itself. Oh, one thing I should mention. I got the second dose of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine today, which means that I am technically considered fully vaccinated. Of course, my body will have to fight the inert virus over the next couple of weeks in order for my immunity to the virus to be in place. Theoretically could be infected over the next 2 to 3 weeks because my body has not yet formed the effective fighting system that it will need to keep this virus at bay. What a terrible time this has been with COVID-19. I look into the eyes of my students and they are desperate for the attentions of their fellow students. They miss those people that they do not get to see. They miss normality. My daughter, who has always had a little bit of trouble making friends, made a best friend last year, and then COVID hit, and they have not been able to see each other at all since. Even though we live in a small town, both her parents and my daughter's parents, that would be my wife and I, well, we take this virus very seriously, and we don't want anything bad to happen to anyone that we care about. It's weird that this whole thing has been politicized, every part of it, from the wearing of masks to the creation of the vaccine to the distribution of the vaccine. This should not be a political question. Who did what when? Who did it better? What it should be is an opportunity for government to perform its most vital role, protecting the citizens in ways that they cannot do by themselves. If the government is incapable of doing such things, well, according to Locke and Rousseau, the government loses its right to be our government. One of the things I fear is that over time, any group of people, well, let's not speak of them as groups of people, any organization over time will exist for its own self-preservation and not for the enrichment of the lives of the people who belong to the organization. Now, a classic case is the National Rifle Association, which this year is considering filing for bankruptcy, even though they are one of the wealthiest and most effective lobbies in Washington. They are still on the verge of bankruptcy. Well, that is neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is the NRA stopped representing the ideals of its own people a long time ago. For instance, most NRA members support universal background checks because if you are a hunter who has a rifle for hunting, you will not be affected by background checks. If you are a responsible, safe, decent gun owner. I cannot say the same for everyone, and certainly a lot of the crazies and wackadoos in the NRA, but the NRA itself does not represent that majority position of supporting universal background checks. They see any form of gun control as, well, communism. Anyway, it's kind of a ridiculous stance to take, and certainly not one that's supported by your people. Anyway, well, yeah, it's like I was saying, over time organizations exist to preserve themselves and not to enrich the lives of the people who belong to them. That is the way that it has been for a long, long time. That is the way it will continue to be in the future. Therefore, as a member of any organization, be it a political organization, a community organization, a church, whatever it is, over time that organization will shift into self-preservation mode, and it will only care about perpetuating its own existence, and will do so even in spite of the things that its own members wish it would do. That happens. That happens to political parties. It happens to churches. It happens to any club or organization that exists for a sufficiently long amount of time. Anyway, be skeptical of these things. Think for yourself. Do what you want to do. And that's what I think. Well, I'm going to leave it here. This has been a very long, boring Minecraft video. And I think it will be hilarious if any of my students actually watch this. If they do, congratulations, I guess. If they don't, thank you for not. I prefer that you not. Anyway, bye everybody.